Hello, my two Nanowrimo channel. I'm Jay Booksmart, and today we're going to be filming our June wrap-up today. I'm very excited. So about all the books I read in June, I read a total of 33 books in June, which is crazy to me because I wasn't even expecting to read. I will have to say a lot of this is poetry and graphic novels, but I don't really care, you know what I mean? And if you care, this is such, now you know. 8,395 pages. The top genre would be fantasy. My average star rating was a 3.58, and I read every single day but one in the month of June, which I feel really, really proud about. It was a goal of mine to read every single day, even if it's for 10 minutes, even if it's for 3 pages. It doesn't really matter. I was just trying to achieve it, and I'm happy that I did achieve that goal. That being said, let's go ahead and start with our earliest read. I will tell you if there are vlogs, I'll link them down below. I did film for 2 weeks, and I know I read quite a few books in those 2 weeks, so they are not vlogged here, but I could eventually post those vlogs together as like a longer vlog like I did in the beginning of this month for the end of May. We do have the final vlog coming out this next week for June, so you'll see me read the last few books there. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. First one being The Boyfriend Subversion by Steven Salvatore. This is Pretty Woman, but somewhat backwards. So instead of Julia Roberts' character being the poorer one who takes a deal, we have Julia Roberts' character being the one offering a deal. Essentially, one of our main characters is someone who owns an OnlyFans and has made a lot of money off of it, but he is really disgraced by his family because of it. His father doesn't believe that it's a lucrative deal, and they're going extremely public and having a lot of big buyouts and stuff. Then we're meeting a guy who just got dumped by his fiance. His fiance took his entire business. It's a flower shop called like GoDaddy or Flower Daddy or something like that. Something like those lines. And they end up meeting at a bar. And he offers him, hey, I'll give you $10,000 or something along those lines if you be my boyfriend for the week. This is an extremely sexual novel. I do want to give you a heads up. It's very graphic and there is a lot of steamy scenes, but that's like probably the best element of the book in my opinion. The story itself was a little bit convoluted, but I gave it a 3. That was on May 24 and 24, so eventually you'll see a video coming out towards the end of this year, I think in October if I'm not mistaken, where we're going to talk about this book again. Then I read The Yarning Fox Lies in Wait by Nanowrimo. This was a really weird one. This is a manga. It was an e-arc. It is out. And this is about 2 people who fall in love, one of them being a fox hybrid person. I gave it a 2.5. I personally really did not care for it. Then I read Now Conjuring by Freddie Kolosh. This is a book that took place back in the 90s. I felt like it was going to be Satan worship type of thing. It's not. Our main character, Nez, his boyfriend is brutally murdered when we first meet him. And it's going backwards in time, telling him and his boyfriend's story while also trying to figure out who did the murdering and stuff. If you like a lot of witchcraft, you like crafts, like the movie or Craft Legacy in particular, that type of thing, I think this would be really good for you, and I think you would probably really enjoy it. I felt like the opening was phenomenal. Like the first 30% of this was great, and then everything past that point, it was not my favorite thing in the world. I gave it a 3.25. Then I read Rake's Fall by Vaja. This is another book that's coming out. I think it might be out now. I can't remember if it's coming out. Yeah, it's out officially, so you should totally pick it up. It's a shorter science fiction novel. Science fiction fantasy is how I classify it. We're jumping into all these different multiverses where these 2 people are like these 2 people are destined to fall in love in every universe, and you have someone who's going through a really, really hard relationship at the forefront of the story, and someone who is telling her the stories of her previous loves with this person, saying that your version might not be the best, but you have had amazing loves, and you're going through murder mysteries. It was a wild time. I loved it. It was a 5-star. I could not recommend more. And then we have We Call Giants by Kieran Gillian. I don't think this comes out until November. Sorry. We Call Them Giants is about a girl who wakes up one day and then she sees giants, and then the story progresses. That's all I can really tell you. I can tell you this much. I wish it was a series. And also, I didn't love all the artwork. I gave it a 3. Then I read Bloom by Delia S. Donson. This came out last year. I love the cover. It was been on my TBR because of that. And I was like, sure, we'll give it a try. It's about a lady who is figuring out her sexuality. She had a really rough breakup. She ends up buying a cupcake from a lady and becoming obsessed. And then things start to happen. To me personally, I gave it a 3.5 because I really liked the writing and I also enjoyed the narrator. But I will have to say, the actual plot twist or the story points I found extremely predictable, and it did take out some of the enjoyment, even if it's one of those books that's kind of like, it's a mixture of, it's more like violent and things because it's not on page, but there's also some stuff that's on page of like, oh my god, I can't believe you went there, but I can, but I can't. So that's kind of fun. Then I read Wampus by Ash von Otterloo. This is a story about 2 witches who have to come together. One of them is intersex. Part of the reason I read this was because of the intersex rep in middle grade, and I was curious to see how it went. I felt like it was so beautifully done. It's about 2 witches who are trying to come into their own and both having problems achieving this goal, and then they have to achieve the goal because of dire circumstances. Could not recommend recommend enough. 4-star, definitely highly recommend. Then I read one of my favorite books of the year, which is You Got Anything Stronger. This is a Gabrielle Union. I fucking love Gabrielle Union. I loved her first collection. I felt like it was beautiful, hard-hitting, and moving. This one made me cry just as much. 5 stars, could not recommend more. Truly fucking phenomenal. Then I picked up The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. The Familiar was a very big disappointment. I did have a feeling I wasn't going to like fully vibe with it, and I didn't. It intrigued me for the first like 20 or 30, same like the last one, 20 to 30%, and then it kind of just fully fell away for me. It's about a girl who it has the ability to do magic, and I really thought it was going to go somewhere else, and it doesn't. I do understand there's like a lot of personal stuff with this book, with Leigh Bardugo in particular, talking about her heritage, talking about the time that it takes place, and I do think some of the historicalness is pretty fun. I'm not a historical fiction girly, and I think that also plays a factor here, but if you are, I think you would probably like it. I think some people are enjoying it. I gave it a 3. It was not my favorite thing I read this year though. Then I read 3 poetry collections back to back. I wasn't a big fan of really any of them, but we will go through them. We have One Sweet Moment by Bruce Meyer. To be fair, for a poetry collection, this one looks like it's a memoir. I'm not one to remember unless it's a 5. It stands out to me. This was a 3, so I don't think I'd probably recommend. Poetry is subjective though, so maybe you'll love it. I always say that for every poetry book that I read, because a lot of poetry books have anywhere between an average rating of a 5 or a 4 or really high 4 and a 2, and some of my favorites are a 2, and some of my least favorites are the higher ones. So just because I don't like something doesn't mean you're not going to like it in the same genre, such as this one. This was a favorite for a lot of people. I was really looking forward to it because of being a favorite, and I had learned last month that horror erotica in the same space, horror erotica poems, anything in that general, it just doesn't vibe with me, and this is the same case here. It's 2.5. I did not like it. But if you like that shit, you're gonna like it. I have a strong feeling. If you like Hallmark, I recommend Please Find This. I wrote this for you and only you. This one is really interesting. It is written in the perspective of being talked to you, and some of it's pretty good, but there's also some of it's pretty bad. There is pictures throughout, and it does read very Hallmarky and stuff in most places. I gave it, I think, just like a 3.5 because there is some stuff in here because it is Hallmarky and it's trying to be as generic as possible. But it does kind of hit because, you know, that's the goal. Some stuff accomplished. Not everything. Moving on, I read Year Zero, Volume 2. This following a whole new group of people experiencing zombie apocalypse for the first time. I gave it a 3. I didn't love it as much. Then I realized the series got canceled, which made me really sad because I loved the concept. I found it too late in time. Then I read Bad Mother, Volume 1. This is basically Taken. That's what this is. This is what it is. It's violent, it's visceral, and it was fun, and I enjoyed myself, kinda. It was a 3.25. Sea of Sorrow, beautiful cover. Gorgeous cover. Definitely does represent what the book is about. This one, I see this log didn't get posted, so I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said something on the lines. The first one, which I read, which was Road of Bones, was about hunger. This one is about desire or greed or something out of those lines. And I do think it's explored. I just didn't, I was bored. I was bored. I got a 3. Devil's Highway, however, I do plan on picking up more in the series. I love this one. This is about people hunting down a serial killer, or a group of serial killers and stuff. I loved it as Chuckers. It was great. 4.5, would highly recommend it if you're interested in some weird horror shit, because it does get very dark. Then I read Attack on Titans. I read both Volume 7 and Volume 8 this month. Both were 5 stars. This takes place during a period of Attack on Titans that I just love, and we're still in that period, so I'm sure when I pick up more of these, I plan on, once we're moved and I'm more acquainted with the library near our house and stuff, and I'm driving and stuff, to get the entire series and binging it in a vlog. Then I read Shades of Magic Volume 1. I gave it a 4, and I would recommend it to most people who like Shade of Magic. These are stories that are told in the first series. You get little hints of what these stories are. It's basically prequels with some slight relevance to the story itself. My favorite thing about this was the artwork and seeing the magic come to life. To be fair, I don't know if Shades of Magic as a series is my favorite series by V.E. Schwab. I think it's really well written, but as we talked about in the past, I think you just need to read it all when you read Shades of Magic. Like, I recommend, I don't know how long it's going to take her to get the entire Rise of Power series. I have no idea how long it's going to take her to get that series out. I almost feel like it's worth waiting and then just reading it, because in my opinion, when it comes to V.E. Schwab's writing, it's so good, but I can somewhat forget it. Then let's talk about Blame. I'm going to talk about Blame journalistically because I read the entire series. The entire series was a 4. Every volume got a 4. What is Blame about? Okay, so it's about this person who is in this world where it's like cities on top of cities type of thing. He is hunting for someone who has a gene that can get into the web. These things are basically like viruses or whatever are coming and hunting them down, and it's a lot of action, and there's like nothing, there's like pages and pages and pages of nothing but like drawings and stuff, very little dialogue. To me personally, I feel like there's plenty of dialogue because I read all 6 volumes in 2 days, but if you're reading these like, I don't know, like every few weeks or whatever, very minimal dialogue. I like the characters, I like the design, I like the story. I'm very intrigued to watch the Netflix movie eventually once we get around to it. It was overall a 4. Then I read the popular Fourth Wing. I read Blame and Fourth Wing in a single vlog. If you guys are interested in that vlog, let me know in the comments down below as I can post it. Once again, I think I might do, maybe I'll separate them, I don't know. We're officially, I think, past this point, almost there to where it's a whole new vlog. So Fourth Wing, by this point I think everybody knows, follows Violet as she is forced to join the academy and become a writer. And I very much enjoyed myself. So I feel like the first, and more people are going to see this in the vlog itself probably, I thought like the first beginning part was super divergent coded. And then once they actually got to the dragons, which is all I'll say in case you've not read it, I felt like it got really good. But until then, it was super divergent coded and I couldn't fully get into it. But once something happens, I was like, okay, I can fuck with this. And then I felt like the ending kind of let me down in a way. Like I was super intrigued and I was fine with it, but like it wasn't like amazing. I'm happy that they didn't go down the complete route that I thought they were going down. So applaud Rebecca Yarros in that regard. But in general, I'm not eager to pick up Iron Flame, and I could see myself putting it off until we get closer to the release, the next one in the series, the 3rd one. It was a fun first book in a series, and I can understand why it became so popular, but I never once felt the hype. Never once felt like, oh my god, this is like the next big thing. That being said, I gave it a 3.75. Moving on to Dreamer. Dreamer is by Multimind. I still have no idea who that is, so we're gonna say them, simply them. This was such a cool concept, but it never really materialized past the concept stage, in my opinion. And it's about a girl who, as she dreams and her dreams can come to life, she's in a beach, sand will cover her, she gets stabbed will happen, which is why it could be really cool and why I thought it was going to be really cool, and then it just wasn't. I understand what the whole point of it, like the metaphorical reasons for the dreams and like certain things, was very clear, a little too clear in some cases for my opinion. It just didn't fully work for me, so I went on 3.5 because I felt like some of the stuff were really well done, but not the whole thing. Would recommend for the most part though. Now we're moving into Dangerous Assassin. I read the first for the 3 books, and this was with the Elitely series. The first one was a 3.5, the second one was a 3.75, and the third one was a 3.25. I personally don't think I'll go back through to pick up the rest of the series. I felt like Dangerous Traitor in particular ended in a way where I didn't really need the rest of the story. People are caring about the political intrigues and stuff, maybe. The first one, Dangerous Assassin, is about someone, she goes to kill Dangerous, our main character here, goes to kill, it's like a Prince Duke or whatever. She is stopped, and then she is wed to be his wife, and we're following the story of the consequences of those actions and the curses that follow them. And like the first story was really well written, really well rounded, was very full. The second one I also very much enjoyed. It was a very big different one. It's more questy, more on the road adventure type, which I also really liked. And then the third one kind of brought it back down. The third one was by far my least favorite, but it satisfied me in every way that I was hoping for the series to satisfy me without having to continue further. Once again, I might continue further, who knows, but I have no plans to finish the series anytime soon. That being said, I also finished The Boys Omnius, Volume 1. Essentially, that just means there's like 6 volumes in this or something. I don't know. It's a ridiculous amount of pages. It's like 500 pages or something. I hated it. I hated it with such a passion. I hated it with such a strong passion. So essentially, The Boys is going on right now. The television show, Season 4, is currently airing. And a lot of people are saying, this is stupid. This is trash. I can't believe they're coming after a certain group of people so heavily. The Boys has always done, and you're just now seeing it because they're being the same amount of overtness, I guess, except for Firecracker. I feel like Firecracker maybe is like tipping the stages here. I think it's really well done, but this is not about The Boys television show. I think it's Fate's better. This is about the comic book. Comic book is misogynistic. There's so many things wrong with this comic book. I hate it. I hate it so much. Like I gave it a 1.5, and TV show did better. Then I read Sidetracked by St. Abby. This is part of the Mindfuck series. The series follows a serial killer and also an FBI agent falling in love. I feel like the second book was okay. It was a 3. I was intrigued. The third book, I ended up DNFing, which is kind of sad. These are not long. These are like 120 pages. DNFing a 120 page book. I'm telling you, it's a time. I will plan on finishing the series as it does extremely intrigue me, but I got enough answers this time around then I'm okay. Plus, the second book has a lot to do with child abuse, and it was really graphic, and so it made me uncomfy. Then we have Defeek, I think is how you pronounce it, by Nina Caprive. I did not enjoy this one nearly as much as Fina. This is the second book in the Fina duology. I don't know if there's more in the series outside of it. This follows people who work in a store, and they just happen to have a hole that goes into different fantasy world. The first one follows a grandma who gets lost. This one is all about the inventory system, which was fine. It was fine. I'm sure somebody loves it and thinks it's better. I'm not that person. I get a 3.5. That being said, let me know what you guys read in June. Did you guys have a good June reading month? Did you guys have a bad month? Let me know. Love to know in the comments. I'll talk to you guys all very soon with another video soon on Goodbye.